Alright, chapter 14. It's about partying. It's Jesus' guide to how to throw a party. Alright, so just read it that way. That's what I want you to do. Read it thinking, what kind of party does Jesus want his disciples to throw? And just think of this. His favorite thing to do was to go to parties, to be at parties, and then to bring new people to parties. Why? Because his image of the kingdom of God, we've been talking about, the reign of God, or whatever way you want to talk about, Jesus' favorite thing, was so often meals, parties, and those kind of things. So, look through this chapter and think, what kind of party is Jesus throwing? You'll notice that at the beginning, people are getting upset, particularly the religious people, because he was healing people at the party, and it happened to be on the Sabbath. And because there was this whole kind of hoopla over which is more important, to not work on the Sabbath or to heal someone, that kind of thing. He ends up telling a story, or kind of talking about a banquet. So his initial statement, hear this: when you host a dinner or a banquet, don't invite your friends, your brothers, your relatives, or your rich neighbors. If you do, they might invite you to a party of their own, and you'll be repaid for your kindness. Instead, invite the poor, the amputees, the cripples, the blind. Then you'll be blessed because they can never repay you. Your reward will come from God at the resurrection of the just and the good. So, maybe what kind of principle of party throwing do you hear there? He says invite people that can never repay you. If Jesus is trying to teach you and talking to these people about their own home gatherings, if they're trying to teach us, like, what does it mean to be a disciple? What does it mean to be a member of the kingdom of God? What does it mean to learn to share in God's generosity and make that alive in the world? Then what is it we're to learn when Jesus says, when you host a party, invite those who can never repay you? What is it about God's gift to the world that you start to think about there? If I keep talking, I'll go on for a long time. So I'm going to avoid preaching a sermon on it and point out the other thing. So Jesus says that whole little bit I just read, someone gets real excited in the audience and says, "Blessed is everyone who will eat bread in the kingdom of God." And Jesus tells a story about a man who wanted to throw a huge banquet. And they gave excuses. So Nick, here's some more excuses people are giving. I know you got disturbed last time Jesus got mad at excuses people gave him. Here's some more. The man had a party, invited many guests. When the time came, he sent his servant to tell the guest who had agreed to come, "We're ready, come now." That's what they're telling the invited guest. But every single one began to make excuses. "Oh, I'm sorry, I just bought some land, I need to go see it." The other said, "Oh, sorry, I've just bought 5 pair of oxen, I need to go check them out." Another said, "I just got married, so I can't come." The servant returned, reported their responses, and his master got angry and told the servant, "Go out into the streets and the alleys around town, bring the poor, the amputees, the blind, and the cripples." The servant came back in and said, "Sir, I've done as you said, but there's still more room." And the host said, "Well, go out to the highways and the hedges and bring in the complete strangers you find there until my house is completely full. One thing is for sure, not one single person on the original guest list shall enjoy this banquet." So, the banquet. Tell me. First, he tells a story. He tells the story to explain what is it like to throw a banquet from people that can never repay you. People make excuses. The master in the story gets mad, and he says, "Go out to the highways and the hedges and bring in the complete stranger." fill my party up. Keep bringing them all in until this place is packed. What does that mean? What does it mean that Jesus tells a story where the concern of the person throwing the banquet is for it to be full, for it to be an invitation that leaves no one out, for it to be for the people bringing people to the party to be given the directive to go to the highways, to go look in hedges, to find strangers and fill this place up. You could decide that this whole central part of this story is that some people made excuses and they're not going to be there. But I would think that it would be best for us to look at this as a guy who's throwing a banquet and he wants everyone to be there. And not only does the guy throwing the banquet want everyone to be there, he's going to take the time to look in hedges and make sure that everyone knows that this is a party you can come to. And what is it that makes the people say no to coming to the party? Is it the invitation? The good news that the invitations come? No. Is it the person who's throwing the banquet? Their character? No. We got stuff. I bought some things. Oxen. I want to see how they work. Oh, I just got married. I'm going, so I can't come. Oh, I just got some new land, so I can't come. It's important to see that Jesus said, invite those who can never repay you. And then, guess who's probably more likely than not to say no to coming to the banquet? Those who already have things. Land, ability to make a living with the oxen, a new wife. But I think it is important that the invitation goes out far, wide, to everyone, even people hiding in bushes that you don't know. And that those who don't end up at the party aren't the outsiders, but the insiders who said, I'm going to pass. It's not the people who didn't know the invitation had come out. They all heard about it, and they were thrilled, and the guys just sure fired up to fill it up. The people that don't come are the people who knew the master well, who's the master of the house. They knew him well and gave excuses. That's important, because a lot of people would like to turn the kingdom of God, the Christian vision, into something that you have to get into. But the people who aren't welcome here are the ones who already know the man who's inviting them, and then say, nah, I got more important things to do. It's essential. Interpret that. If I say anything else, I may just tell you what you have to think it means. I don't want to do that. But it's important that the people who say no are not outsiders. They're insiders. They know who the guy is, and then they say no. Not the other way around. So, what kind of parties does Jesus like to throw? What kind of parties do you throw? What kind of excuses do you give to get out of parties? And what would it be like, and this is a very simple practical question, what would it be like for us as a youth group to throw a party on the Jesus rules? I want to know, because I like parties. I want to throw one Jesus would like.